Hello everyone and welcome to the World of Wrestling Podcast. I am Slim, your true predictions champion. And we're just going to kick things straight off with Clash of Champions. Before the pre-show match, we're told that Nikki Cross, Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax aren't cleared to compete. The Raw Tag titles will be addressed... not the Raw Tag titles. The Women's Tag titles will be addressed on Raw. And the SmackDown Women's title will be addressed later on the show by Bayley, who is still going to appear. Moving on to the pre-show match then, and it's the SmackDown Tag Title match between Cesaro and Nakamura defending against the Lucha House Party, that being Kalisto and Gran Metalik versus, not Gran Metalik, Lince Dorado with Gran Metalik. It was a good match. Cesaro and Nakamura won by pinfall after Nakamura hit the Kinshasa, while Cesaro was still swinging them around. And that was done on Kalisto. So we'll move on to the main show, and just before we do, I am now on 1 point. So the main show starts with the Intercontinental Ladder match, and it's between, obviously, Styles, Jeff, and the true Intercontinental Champion, Sami Zayn. It was a really good match. During the match, Jeff Hardy had a ladder handcuffed to his ear. He also took a few scary bumps, but Sami Zayn did handcuff a ladder to Jeff Hardy's ear, which was awesome. He also handcuffed himself to Styles, so he just went limp every time Styles tried to climb the ladder. And then Sami ended up winning by uncuffing himself to Styles and cuffing Styles to the support of the ladder, meaning that Jeff has to carry a ladder with him on his head, so he ain't getting it, and Styles can't move because he's handcuffed to the support. So yeah, he unhooked both titles, proving that he is really the true Intercontinental Champion. Backstage, we see R-Truth, who was led by Little Jimmy into the referee's part of the locker room thing. I can't remember what they called it. But yeah, he was led into there, and he loses the 24/7 title to Drew Gulak. Later in the night, Truth hits Gulak in the head with a bowl while he's getting interviewed and wins back the 24/7 title. Then we have Asuka defending the Raw Women's Championship against Zelina Vega. It was a good match. Asuka won by by submission with the Asuka lock. After that, we get the US Championship match between Apollo Crews with Ricochet and the champion Bobby Lashley with MVP. Good match. Lashley won by submission with the Hurt Lock. Next, we get the Street Profits defending the Raw Tag titles against Andrade and Angel Garza. What I didn't mention was with Asuka winning, I'm on 2 points, and with Lashley winning, I'm on 3. Haven't gotten one wrong yet. So we're on the Raw Tag title match, and this match... Oh no, hang on. I've got one wrong. I picked Jeff Hardy, Sami Zayn won. And at the moment, Kyle is on 4 points. Okay, whatever. But anyway, so this match is one that me and Cole had different. So, provided Andrade and Angel Garza win, I'm still in the hunt. However, this match did screw Andrade and Angel Garza, and thusly screwed me as well. Because Andrade kicked out at 2. Literally. He was in a pin. Referee. 1, 2, kick out, 3. Street Profits won by pinfall. Yeah. He kicked out. Screwed me. Screwed them. That's why I'm the true Intercontinental Champion. Cole won by fluke. Well, it wasn't even by fluke, it was by cheating on the referee's part. There's a conspiracy against me. Obviously. I only lost my title this time because of being screwed. It wasn't even fair. Like, sure, if I, picked, I don't know, Zelina Vega to beat Asuka and she tapped out to Asuka, and that's what cost me the title, sure, I can deal with that. Like, I lost. But no, I got screwed. Okay? Anyway, then Bayley comes out and issues an open challenge for her belt, which is answered by Asuka. Decent match. Asuka won by DQ, so Bayley retains the title when Bayley used steel chair. Post match, Sasha showed up and attacks Bayley. She eventually got away from Sasha, who was still wearing a neck brace. Then we had the WWE Championship match ambulance match between Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre. And let's just say, okay, throw our hands up. Let's say Jeff Hardy had have won, or Angel and Andrade had have won. Either way, so I'm still in it, right? We're still tied. I would have been screwed here anyway, because once again, we would have had this one different, and I had Randy, and got screwed again here. Because during the match, Big Show hit a choke slam on Orton through a table as Orton was about to put Drew away. Later in the show, Christian attacks Orton backstage in catering when he's about to put Drew away. And then when he's about to put Drew away again on top of the ambulance, Shawn Michaels super kicks him, and eventually Drew McIntyre won. When he put Orton in the ambulance, closed the doors, Ric Flair then drove away, which is fine. Don't care about that last little bit. Ric Flair driving him away, that's whatever. But yeah, I got screwed completely. That was bullshit. But yeah, we'll get to that in a second. Main event time, and it's Jey Uso versus Roman Reigns with Paul Heyman for the Universal Championship. Total annihilation of Jey Uso. Jey wouldn't give up though until Jimmy threw in the towel. So it ended the way that we thought it was. But yeah, Carl has now won the predictions title for a 7th time, right? Yeah, good for him. Yeah, it is a tainted victory, obviously, because I was screwed. I am now the uncrowned predictions champion. I am the true predictions champion. Technically, my reign shouldn't have ended. However, apparently it has. You ask anybody, and they say, "Yeah, no, it's over. You lost." Blah blah blah. But shouldn't have. It's just bullshit. However, tomorrow at NXT Takeover 31, I will become a 14-time predictions champion, and I'm not letting that one go. Definitely not losing it to Kyle. If I do, well, I'm not losing it, but even if I did, it wouldn't be to Kyle because he doesn't deserve it. No, screw him. Doesn't deserve shit. Moving on to Raw though, and Raw starts with Ric Flair, Big Show, Christian, Shawn Michaels, and Drew McIntyre coming out to celebrate Drew's victory at Clash. Before Drew comes out, Shawn Michaels welcomes everybody to Raw and introduces Drew. Drew says that all these guys have helped him during his career, especially last night, because the only way he won was by screw job. Brett screwed Brett. Well, this ain't Orton screwed Orton, but I'm going to have a drink. That's better. He says that Christian always had his back when he had first joined WWE. Big Show helped him when the going got tough. Shawn helped him in NXT, and without that, he wouldn't be where he is now. He also says Nate has so many stories, hasn't really helped him grin clearly. Shawn apologises for them all getting involved. Drew says it's fine, and then Drew is interrupted by Orton, who's on the Tron. Randy says that this isn't over, and it will only ever be over when he wins the WWE title. Orton then leaves the building. Drew says that he will have an open challenge to anybody that he is not faced for the WWE Championship later. We then look at what happened in the Raw Women's Championship match at Clash of Champions. Backstage interview with Zelina Vega, and she says that tonight Asuka is not ready for Zelina. Asuka shows up and says she is ready for Zelina, but she hopes Zelina is ready to lose to her again. The two then start yelling at each other and trying to attack each other, but they're held apart. We then have Asuka defending the Raw Women's title against Zelina Vega in a Clash of Champions rematch. Good match. Asuka wins by submission with the Asuka lock. Backstage, we see Nate, Show, Christian, and Shawn playing poker. In the ring, Andrade says that Zelina is nothing without him, and then he says that he was holding the team with Garza together. Garza is now injured, obviously. Andrade then issues an open challenge, which is answered by Keith Lee. Good match. Keith Lee wins by pinfall with the Spirit Bomb. Backstage in catering, we see MVP and Shelton talking when somebody comes and sits down at their table. Lashley shows up and has a go at him, and he eventually realises he sat at the Hurt Business's table and promptly gets up, tries to leave with his food, and Lashley says, that's my food, and he goes, yeah, nah, sure, it is. Then we see what happened last week on Raw in the 24/7 title scene, and it turns out I did get something wrong. I thought the shark was fake. I'm not sure if it is or not, but it turns out that what I thought was truth going on, it's the shark, it's fake, clearly, was actually, apparently Akira Tozawa got eaten by a shark. Had I realised that, I would have known that that match wasn't happening. Yeah, right. Then we see Truth beating Jimmy in a game of chess. When a ninja shows up and presents a note and a briefcase to Truth, but it's a distraction and Tozawa rolls up Truth to win the title. The ninja then uses the briefcase on Tozawa, and it's revealed the ninja is Gulak. For some reason, he's just on Raw now. He pins Tozawa, and then Truth uses the briefcase again to win back his title. We then look at what happened between Rollins and the Mysterio family last week before going backstage, and Rollins comes up to Murphy and says that they need to celebrate. He tells Murphy to go and put the suit on that Rollins got him so they can celebrate. We then get a King's Court with the King's guests, who are the Mysterio family. Ray says that Rollins can't control his own house, so he is trying to destroy Ray's. Dominic says the next time he sees Rollins, he'll put an end to this. King then brings up the fact that Aaliyah was upset by Ray's words last week. He then asks Aaliyah how she's feeling. Aaliyah says that she doesn't know what to think about Murphy and then calls Rollins a fraud. Rollins shows up on the Tron and he says that he has some truth to tell. And the truth is that Aaliyah isn't telling the truth about how she feels about Murphy. And Rollins shows texts between Murphy and Aaliyah. Aaliyah says that Murphy isn't like Seth before leaving, followed by the Mysterio family. Murphy then confronts Rollins, and as he's about to attack Rollins, Dominic blindsides Murphy, but leaves Rollins alone. Lana and Natalya then come out, and Natalya says that they'll stay here until Shayna and Nia are stripped of the titles. Lana then says that they're the reason that there are even women's tag titles. Adam Pearce comes out and says that they aren't stripping Shayna and Nia, but Natalya and Lana will have to face Raw's newest members, Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke. This is Mandy Rose's debut on Raw from the trade. That is meant to be a big thing because she was a big thing on SmackDown, sort of. And she's teaming with Dana goddamn Brooke. How to kill one of your stars. Like, Dana has never been that good. Like, you know, I don't have anything against her. Just that when I watch a Dana Brooke match, I know what I'm getting, and that's... Nah. And then put that with Natalya and Lana, and I really don't like Natalya, and Lana isn't that good at wrestling either. And even still, Mandy's not that great either, but she's decent. So, this match was just, yeah. Well, actually, I explain it better here. We then get Natalya and Lana versus Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke. It's an It Happened match. Mandy and Dana won by pinfall after Mandy hit a pump knee on Lana. It happened. It wasn't decent. It just happened. It happened. Yeah, whatever. Moving on though. We see what happened on the KO show last week. Aleister Black then says that he won't forgive or forget what Owens has caused, that being his eye being injured by Rollins. Backstage, we see the guys playing poker, and Show says technically he could challenge Drew, which he can't because he challenged Drew at Mania, so he can't. And if you can hear that, that's the dogs playing with this squeaking rat. So, yeah. I know it's Ziz's favourite toy. For those of you who don't know, we got two dogs. One's called Z, one's called BB Bob. BB Bob's a Bull Mastiff Cross Ridgeback, and Z is a Rottweiler. So, yeah. Anyway, the Street Profits then show up. Then we get Kevin Owens vs Aleister Black. Black has new entrance music and a new entrance. Pretty good match. Owens wins by DQ after Black accidentally hits the ref. Post-match, Owens stunners Black. Backstage, we see the Hurt Business minus Cedric walking backstage, and Ali comes out of the Hurt Business's locker room, and he tells them that he got lost, and as it starts getting physical, Apollo and Ricochet show up to even the odds, but Hurt Business just go into their locker room. We then have R-Truth defending the 24/7 championship against Akira Tozawa, Drew Gulak. Oh, just Akira Tozawa and Drew Gulak. I didn't read N. Again, though, why is Drew in this match? He's a SmackDown star. I don't know. Good match. Truth wins by pinfall after hitting Gulak with an attitude adjustment on top of Tozawa. Truth pins Tozawa. Very funny, that whole ending with the AA. Obviously, it's his childhood hero's finishing maneuver. Backstage interview with Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke. Mandy says that Dana is great, and Dana says Mandy is an inspiration. Mandy also says whoever wins between Nia and Shane and the Riot Squad, she and Dana will be challenging them for the titles. We also see Dominic getting ready for his match against Murphy. After that, we get Murphy versus Dominic. During Murphy's entrance, we see Dominic's attack on Murphy earlier. During the match, Dominic gets kendo stick and Aaliyah comes down, which distracts Dominic, allowing Murphy to pick up the win by pinfall with a roll-up. Post-match, Dominic attacks Murphy with a kendo stick until Aaliyah stops him. Eventually, Dominic calls Aaliyah naive, and she slaps him and leaves. Backstage, we see the Hurt Business minus Cedric walking. Also backstage, we see Ziggler talking to Adam Pearce about the WWE Championship Open Challenge. Pearce says Ziggler's not eligible, right? He is not going for the title. Ziggler says he knows that, but he isn't talking about himself. We then get the Hurt Business versus Apollo Crews, Ricochet, and Mustafa Ali. When the Hurt Business comes out, MVP says that Apollo is insane, and the reason Cedric isn't here is because Apollo beat him last week, so they sent Cedric to boot camp. MVP then continues to list everything Crews has done over the past couple of months and finishes by saying that once again Crews is going to get dropped again tonight. Before the match, Ali, Crews, Ricochet attack the Hurt Business, but eventually Hurt Business take control, and then Retribution play with the lights and the screens. Back from break, and the match has started. Good match. Ali, Crews, and Ricochet win by pinfall after Ali hits 450 on MVP. Backstage, we then see Nate winning everyone's money in poker, because obviously. We then see Bianca Belair doing some running against a couple of people. Main event time, and it's the open challenge for the WWE Championship between Drew McIntyre and, well, Dolph Ziggler comes out. Ziggler then points at the stage, and what happens next is just absolutely glorious. Robert Roode returns. I know that he hasn't been sort of, as good as what he could be on the main roster and everything, but that entrance is just always so great. Yeah. During the match, McIntyre attacks Ziggler. Ziggler takes a big boot to help Roode, and Drew wins by pinfall after hitting a Claymore kick. Backstage, to end the show, we see a janitor, who is Randy Orton. He grabs a steel chair, enters the Legends Lounge, turns off the lights while wearing night vision goggles, and when the lights come back on, the Legends have been destroyed. He then pretends to be a janitor again so he can get away. Moving on to AEW Dark, and this week's Dark has 9 matches. Shawn Spears joins commentary for the first match, and the first match is Ray Rosas and Ryzen vs SCU, that being Kazarian and Sky. Good match, SCU win by pinfall after hitting SCU later on Rosas. Backstage, 4 is having a go at Evil Uno for having him team with Colt Cabana. Ricky Starks then comes out to join commentary without a shirt, because why not? Then we get Alex Garcia versus Penelope Ford with Kip Sabian. Good match. Ford wins by a pinfall with the Fisherman Suplex with a bridge. After that, we have Best Friends versus Mbadu and Bishop King. Bishop King is not spelled Bishop, it's spelled B-S-H-P. So it's more Bishop. But, good match. Best Friends win by pinfall with Strong Zero on Mbatu. Backstage, Brandon Cutler says that he and Avalon will have a rematch. We then have the Dark Order 5 and 10 versus Jurassic Express, being Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy, with Marco Stunt. Pretty good match. Jurassic Express won by pinfall after hitting the Extinction Level event on 5. Backstage promo with Luther and Serpentico. Luther says that Griff Garrison and Brian Pillman Jr. had better be ready for the Chaos Project later, because their team name is the Chaos Project. Next up, Sean Dean and Cesar Bononi, who is from NXT, versus the Gun Club with Colton Gunn. Good match. Gun Club win by pinfall after Billy hits a famous shot on Sean Dean. Backstage promo with the Natural Nightmares, who say that the Natural Nightmares are unstoppable. Brandy also says that if Anna Jay was out there with the Dark Order, she would whoop her ass. Then we have Tay Conchi versus Red Velvet. Good match. Conchi wins by submission with a seated octopus. Post-match, Anna Jay enters the ring to celebrate and attacks Velvet until Brandy comes down and causes Conchi and Jay to flee. We then get Chaos Project versus Brian Pillman Jr. and Griff Garrison. Match starts when Chaos Project attack before the bell. Good match. Chaos Project won by pinfall after hitting a Spinebuster Meteora combo on Pillman Jr. Next on the card is Nyla Rose with Vicky Guerrero versus Roche Chanel. Okay match. Nyla won by pinfall with Beast Bomb. Main event time, and it's the Natural Nightmares with Brandy Rhodes versus the Dark Order, that being Colt and 4, with Evil Uno. Good match. Natural Nightmares won by pinfall after hitting QT. After QT hit the QT cutter on 4. Moving on to AEW Dynamite, and this week's Dynamite begins with Ricky Starks versus Darby Allin. Taz is on commentary this week because Shivani is looking to get an interview with FTR. And obviously later in the show, something will happen. Before Darby comes out, we get a promo package, and JPEG Mafia, don't know who that is, that's just the name they gave him. He talks for Darby because Darby's in a body bag and goes down a ramp while in the body bag, laying on a skateboard. During the match, Brian Cage comes to the ring, but Will Hobbs comes down and the two brawl to the back. Pretty good match. Darby won by pinfall with a coffin drop to the back. Cody is out next for an in-ring interview. Cody talks about losing the TNT title, to Mr. Brody Lee. He also talks about what he's been doing since that loss, and Cody also appears to decline Mr. Brodie Lee's challenge for a dog collar match. But then he changes what he meant by no and accepts the challenge. We then have a massive pull-apart brawl between Cody and Brodie. Dark Order come out and Brandi comes out, then everyone starts brawling with each other. Backstage interview with FTR and Tully Blanchard. Schiavone's conducting the interview, and FTR say that they did Best Friends a favour last week. FTR also says that the Bucks have blown every chance they've had at the tag titles, so they don't deserve a shot. Young Bucks then super kick Tony, and he doesn't rejoin commentary after that, obviously. Backstage interview with SCU, and SCU says that they will become the tag champs for a second time. We then see Shawn Spears in gorilla position, and he wishes them good luck. We then get SCU, Sky and Kaz with Christopher Daniels versus FTR with Tully Blanchard in a 20-minute brush with Fame for, that's, I guess that's the type of match it is. For the tag titles, Hangman joins commentary. The ref throws CD out from ringside when Cash pretends CD tripped him. Really good match. FTR win when Cash reverses a suplex into a crossbody on Sky. Tully also trips Sky at the same time and holds onto his leg. Dax holds onto Tully. A tournament's then announced, and the finals will be at Full Gear. We then have Isaiah Cassidy with Mark Quinn and Matt Hardy versus Chris Jericho with the Inner Circle. During the match, Luther attacks Jericho after Jericho attacks him first. Inner Circle gets involved multiple times. Really good match. Jericho wins by pinfall with the Judas effect. Post-match, Inner Circle try to attack Cassidy, but Matt and Quinn run them off, and the Chaos Project and Jericho and Hager begin brawling. We then see Miro and Kip talking about Kip's bachelor party, and eventually Billy Mitchell, don't know who that is, shows up and tells Miro that he can help. Backstage interview with Best Friends. Before Best Friends can talk, FTR interrupt and say that they are the main event, and Best Friends belong in the mid-card. Then we get Orange Cassidy with Best Friends versus 10 with the Dark Order. 4 gets Orange's glasses, 10 puts Orange's hands in his pockets, 10, 5 and 4 mock the Best Friends with the hug. Good match. Orange wins by pinfall with the Beach Break, I believe it's called. Backstage, we see MJF at the Inner Circle's locker room. MJF gives Inner Circle some jackets. Sammy's jacket apparently wasn't ready. Jericho asks MJF if he wants to be in the Inner Circle. The two argue about it. Jericho's argument is if MJF wants to join the Inner Circle, and MJF's argument is if Jericho wants MJF to join the Inner Circle. Jericho stops Sammy from calling MJF a loser and says maybe he's not. Then we have Britt Baker DMD with Reba versus Red Velvet. Good match. Britt wins by pinfall with a curb stomp sort of thing. Post-match, Britt locks in the lockjaw. Eddie Kingston and the Lucha Bros are out next. Eddie says that last week Mox had him in the Bulldog choke and he didn't tap. Eddie Kingston then has a go at Bryce Remsburg because he ended the match last week without Kingston tapping or giving up verbally. As Eddie and the Lucha Bros are about to attack Remsburg, Moxley comes out with a barbed wire baseball bat and runs them off. And as Eddie distracts Mox, the Butcher comes out and Kingston says that Mox is defending against the Butcher because Kingston got to pick Moxley's opponent tonight. Main event time, and it's Jon Moxley defending the AEW World Championship against the Butcher with Eddie Kingston and the Lucha Bros. Don't know where Blade is. Really good match. Mox won by submission after locking the Bulldog choke after hitting a Paradigm Shift. Moving on to NXT, and NXT this week starts with Shotzi Blackheart versus Dakota Kai with Raquel Gonzalez. During the match, Shotzi takes a horrible bump. Also during the match, Gonzalez gets involved with Rhea Ripley. She gets involved in the match, and then Rhea Ripley comes down and attacks her. Good match. Blackheart won by pinfall with a roll-up. We then have a split interview between Swerve and NXT Cruiserweight Champion Santos Escobar. Swerve says that in a fair fight he would beat Escobar. Escobar says that to prove he's the better man in their match, this will be a fair fight. Swerve runs down all the ways Santos has cheated to win. Escobar says that they're just excuses. Swerve then says that he's ready for anything Escobar can throw at him. Santos says that at TakeOver he will bury Swerve in a century of tradition. We then get another vignette for the mystery person who will show up at TakeOver. Then we have prime target for Kyle O'Reilly. We are then told that Tegan Knox has a torn ACL. I don't know why I was trying to say NXT. Backstage interview with the Garganos. Johnny says that it's fair play Tegan breaks his TV, so Candice tears her ACL. Then they say that tonight, when they take on Io and Priest, that will be the start, and at TakeOver they're going to finish what they start when they win the Women's and North American Championships. We then get Cameron Grimes versus Joey Pistachio. Before Pistachio comes out, Grimes gets on the mic and says that he isn't in the best mood and cheers himself up by making a match which is like a gauntlet. Grimes wins straight away with Cave In. Opponent number 2 is Joey Strong, but he is attacked and tossed out by Ridge Holland. Holland gets in the ring and takes Strong's spot. Holland shakes Grimes' hands before headbutting him. Grimes wins by DQ when Ridge continues to stomp on him while Grimes was in the ropes. Backstage interview with Austin Theory, and Theory says that he should have been in the Gauntlet Eliminator match. Theory then says that the future is not Kyle O'Reilly. We then get a promo package for Kushida versus Dream at TakeOver, but it's just Kushida talking. We then get Kushida versus Tony Nese. Good match. Kushida wins by submission with the hoverboard lock. Post-match, Dream says it doesn't matter what version of Kushida shows up at TakeOver, because Dream always puts on his best showings at TakeOvers. Backstage, Cameron Grimes is yelling at some people because he doesn't want to talk unless they know where Regal is, and he walks straight into Dexter Lumis, who stands there, and Grimes calls him weird. Next, Adam Cole comes out and says that the era have been dominant for 3 years now, but people feel like the era has changed, and Cole says the era haven't changed. Cole then tells Theory to get his ass out of here and say what he said about Kyle O'Reilly to Cole's face. Cole then tells Theory to get in the ring. Theory refuses, and Cole tells Theory to either get in the ring, or Cole and the rest of the era will attack Theory where he stands. Theory gets in the ring. We then get Austin Theory vs Adam Cole. Really good match. Cole wins by pinfall after hitting the last shot. Post-match, Cole says that at TakeOver, Kyle O'Reilly will shock the world, but he won't shock Cole. Backstage interview with Damian Priest and Io Shirai. Priest says tonight is a preview of TakeOver, because they will win tonight and at TakeOver. Io talks Japanese for a bit and then says that they are rock stars. Both say that each other ain't bad. Then we get Xia Li versus Caden Carter with Casey Catanzaro. Good match. Carter wins by pinfall. Post-match, Xia pushes over Carter before leaving. Then we have the face-to-face between Finn Balor and Kyle O'Reilly with Shawn Michaels as the moderator. Both men tell each other that they will win at TakeOver. Kyle O'Reilly says that it's bullshit that he is the underdog. Finn says that if the belt was on anyone else other than himself, then Kyle O'Reilly would win the belt at TakeOver. And that whole thing and what Adam Cole did makes me believe that Kyle's going to win it. Well, not going to win it, but could win it. And I do sort of go, imagine if he did. That would be so awesome. But he's not, is he? He's not. Main event time, and it's Io Shirai and Damian Priest versus the Garganos. Before the match, Priest and Shirai brawl with the Garganos. Pretty good match. The Garganos won by pinfall after Gargano hit one final beat. Post-match, Shirai has a go at Johnny, but Candice hits her with a backstabber. The Garganos pose with the belts to close the show. Moving on to NXT UK, and NXT UK begins with a triple threat match to determine the wild card in the Heritage Cup between Kenny Williams, Ashton Smith, and Amir Jordan. Kenny Williams and Amir Jordan are a tag team, so that's pretty much what half of this thing is just them working together against Smith. Really good match. Kenny Williams wins by pinfall after hitting a tilt-a-whirl DDT on Smith. Williams will face Trent Seven in the first round of the Heritage Cup. Then we get a hype package for Ginny versus Xia Brookside. Then we have a promo package for Eddie Dennis. We then see what happened earlier in the year with Mark Andrews, who had been jumped backstage, and no one has owned up to attacking him. Backstage interview with Flash Morgan Webster and Mark Andrews, and Flash Morgan Webster says that he is going to show true British wrestling when he faces A-Kid in the Heritage Cup. We then have Xia Brookside versus Ginny. Good match. Ginny wins by submission with an STF Ascalot combo. Post-match, Ginny gets on the mic and says that she has been playing nice, but no more. We then get a hype package for A-Kid versus Flash Morgan Webster, their Heritage Cup match, which takes place next week. We then go through the rules of the Heritage Cup, main event time, and it's the opening round for the Heritage Cup between Alexander Wolf versus Noam Dar with Pete Dunne as the special guest ref. Dar gets the first fall at 2 minutes 48 in the second round. Wolf gets the second fall at the 53-second mark in the fourth round. Really good match. Dar won by pinfall with the Nova Roller at 2 minutes 54 in the fifth round. Post-match, Wolf attempts to attack Dunne, but Dunne stops him, and as Dunne is about to hit the bitter end, Volta comes out, and as they're about to go at it, Wolf attacks Dunne, and as Volta is about to hit the powerbomb, Dragunov comes out and runs Imperium off. Moving on to SmackDown, and SmackDown starts with a recap from the Universal Championship match at Clash. If you can hear the vacuum, because somebody's decided that while I'm recording, perfect time to vacuum. Couldn't have waited an extra, 15 minutes or something. SmackDown kicks off with Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman. As Paul crowns Reigns the Tribal Chief, Reigns asks for the mic and says that he doesn't want Paul to call him the Tribal Chief because Jay wouldn't acknowledge him as the Tribal Chief. Reigns then asks Jay to come out. Jay comes out and he says he doesn't know who Reigns is, and if Jimmy didn't throw in the towel, he would be Universal Champ right now. Reigns says that at Clash was the worst night of his life. I highly doubt that. He has had cancer a couple of times. Reigns says that he was trying to help Jay by putting his name in the marquee, put him in the main event, give him a massive payday, and all Jay had to do was call him the Tribal Chief. Reigns then goes on to say that Jay embarrassed him and their entire family. Reigns then says that if Jay wants another shot at the title, he can have it, and hell, he can have it inside Hell in a Cell. Reigns then hugs Jay and tells him to not accept the challenge. As Reigns is leaving, Jay says that it's on. Styles then comes out and says that he wants a shot at the Universal Championship, and he should get it because he's more qualified. He also tells Jay that Jimmy's the better athlete of the Usos, and Jay attacks Styles. We then get Jey Uso versus AJ Styles. Pretty good match. Jay wins by pinfall after hitting the Uso splash, following multiple super kicks. Backstage, Sami Zayn says that he's not going to gloat because he is angry. Originally, it was at WWE management. However, he realised that it's not their fault, it's the fans. So tonight, he will beat Jeff. Sami then throws Jeff's IC title in the bin. Then we have John Morrison versus Otis. During Morrison's entrance, we see what happened 2 weeks ago on the dirt sheet, and when Otis received the lawsuit. During Otis' entrance, we get a promo where Otis says that he will defend himself in court. Quick match, Otis wins by pinfall after hitting the Vader Bomb after the Caterpillar. We then get Sheamus versus Shorty G. During Sheamus' entrance, we get a promo from Big E, who says next week he and Sheamus will have a Falls Kid Anyway match. A lot of matches were set up for next week because of the draft. It was a squash match, pretty much, anyway. Shorty G did get a couple of moves in, but then Sheamus won after hitting 2 brogue kicks. Backstage, we see Kevin Owens getting ready for the KO show, and behind him on a screen, some Fiend stuff appears. Then we have the KO show with Owens' guest Alexa Bliss. Owens asks what's going on with Alexa because the aggression she has reminds him of Aleister Black. Bliss says that people change and asks if Kev wants to change and be better. Owens says yes, that's what he's trying to do. He then says that he wants to understand what's happening to her so he can try to understand Black. Bliss then speaks in a calm but scared voice about the Fiend. Owens then realises that he won't get the answers he needs because Bliss is brainwashed. Bliss says yes, her brain has been washed and cleansed of all the lies. Kev asks if he asks if he is here, and she says yes, he is everywhere, and to let him in. Fiend then shows up and KOs Owens with the mandible claw before staring at Bliss and extending a hand, which she takes and smiles. I guess they were meant to disappear or something together, but it just went straight to break. So, yeah. Then we get King Corbin, Cesaro, and Nakamura versus Matt Riddle and the Lucha House Party, that being Gran Metalik and Lince Dorado. Before Riddle and Lucha House Party's entrance, we get a backstage interview with the three of them, and Riddle says that he asked for this match because the draft is coming up, and this could be the last time that he might have a chance to team up with the Lucha House Party. Lince says Kalisto's in the locker room, not us. He's not in us, no. And he wouldn't be surprised if his mask didn't fit because of how big his head is. Riddle agrees for some reason. Towards the start of the match, Kalisto comes down, and towards the end of the match, Kalisto attempts to kick Cesaro, who reverses the move and sends Lince into the kick. Good match. Riddle and Lucha House Party win by pinfall after Riddle hits Bro Derek on Cesaro. Post-match, Lince and Kalisto almost get into a brawl again. We then look at the Bayley-Sasha rivalry. Sasha's then out and has a go at Bayley for using her, and then challenges Bayley to a match on SmackDown for the SmackDown Women's Championship next week. Before we go back to Sasha in the ring, though, because she sort of come out and went to break, before we go back there, Carmella is revealed to be the mystery woman, who says that doing what the fans wanted got her nowhere, and then she remembered that she's untouchable, unless she wants to be touched. Which, obviously, it was Carmella. Like I said weeks ago, it's Carmella, and yeah, it's Carmella. Main event time, and it's Sami Zayn defending the Intercontinental title against Jeff Hardy. Pretty good match. Sami won by pinfall after sweeping Jeff's legs as he went for Whisper in the Wind, sending Jeff's head into the exposed turnbuckle that Sami exposed before the match. Moving on to 205 Live, and it starts with a rundown of the TakeOver 31 TakeOver 31 card. And this episode is a hype package for the Cruiserweight Championship match at TakeOver. So we get Swerve versus El Hijo del Fantasma from the Cruiserweight Championship tournament, which Swerve won with a crucifix. That's that. Now, moving on to the G1 standings, and as of right now, A block standings are, on 6 points, we have Taichi, Jay White, and Will Ospreay. Hang on, whoops. Also on 6 points is Kota Ibushi and Minoru Suzuki as well. On 4 points, we have Okada, and on 2 points, we have Jeff Cobb, Shingo Takagi, Tomohiro Ishii. Finally, on 0 points is Yujiro Takahashi. In B block, the standings are Tetsuya Naito, Toru Yano, Juice Robinson on 6, Kenta, ZSJ, Evil, Tanahashi on 4, and Goto, Yoshihashi, and Sanada on 2. And that's that. There is some more New Japan on tomorrow, but that'll be covered in, obviously, next week's episode. And also, TakeOver will be covered in next week's episode. And I believe that next week, we've then, so as of right now, we've got next week, the week after, and the one after that. And then the podcast is going on hiatus. But yeah, so that's that. So, thanks for watching. like and share the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell if you want to. I don't care if you do or not, but you probably should. And yeah, let me know what your predictions are on the predictions video. If I remember, I'll link it to the eye in the top of the screen. Yeah, let us know what your predictions are for TakeOver 30 tomorrow. Other than that, thanks for watching, goodbye, and good night.